Welcome to the Bridge Podcast, the show where three guys try to put an end to all the world's rivalries.
Hi, welcome to the Bridge Podcast, the show where three guys try to put an end to all the world's feuds. This is episode 2, and what do you guys think? How do you guys think we did on that first episode? Did we end the feud between DC and Marvel?
I think there wasn't nearly enough toy money on our part, really.
Toy money?
Yeah. Every episode 1 has to make a shit ton of toy money. That's the truth.
Oh, like they should make action figures out of us?
Yeah.
What we were
and all our discussions and our call-ins.
What we were
a playset for every call that came in.
Yeah.
Right.
Ty doesn't agree with you. What would your action figure look like?
Oh, it would be so awesome. I'd have a Kung Fu grip.
Okay.
I'd have tons of accessories. And I would probably be wearing some very baggy, ratty clothing.
Name your top 5 accessories that your action figure would have.
Skis.
Number 5.
Jetpack.
Number 4.
Hang glider.
3.
Microwave gun.
2. And coming in at number 1.
Probably going to say Spotlight.
Why? Spotlight.
Because I'm just thinking of all those terrible...
Batman?
Yeah, all those terrible toy accessories from when you were a kid and when I was a kid. And it was just like toys that had absolutely nothing to do with anything.
A spotlight? What were you?
Yeah, the Batman that had skis or something. Or toys from a movie that didn't even warrant it. You know, Philadelphia the movie and its toy line.
Production spotlight. Okay, makes sense.
My father threw away all of my action figures.
So you never had the chance to come up with this list?
I was really pissed about it. Because and sometimes I'm 26, and I admit sometimes
you're 26?
I am 26. Thank you. And I admit that sometimes I think, like, what if I still had that Ninja Turtle? What if I still had that 8-armed Spider-Man? But then other times I realize that maybe if all my toys didn't get thrown away, I probably wouldn't be engaged right now, and I'd still be playing. I'd be engaged to my 8-armed Spider-Man toy.
To be entirely fair, though, that toy listened to everything you said.
It did, and as a wedding present, I would like for everyone to get me 8-armed Spider-Man toys.
I didn't get you PlayStation 3.
Ty, you gotten us completely off topic. How is everybody doing? How are you guys?
I'm okay.
I'm good.
Back from the holidays, trying to recover.
How was your holiday?
They were fun.
Was it spent with family? Or was it not spent with family? Is that why it was fun?
It was spent with family.
How was it fun?
Alright, that's a good question.
You have to elaborate.
Let's go.
Well, I don't know. There was a good bit of me running off to drink. I took Ty's cue and just started to drink scotch wherever I could.
That is how you bridge the gap between family and the holidays.
Liquor.
You drink.
Liquor.
That's how you do it. We don't need to do the episode now. We've solved it. We've solved it here. You drink.
Well, they just got a tasty preview of what our next holiday special is going to be.
Oh, Doctor Who.
No, liquor.
We're on tangent again. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna have the big old BBC tradition of a new holiday special every year.
I have a confession to make.
I think you confessed.
I may or may not have cried during the last Doctor Who Christmas special.
I think he did.
I think I did too.
We should really get back on topic.
Yeah, let's get back on that. Let's go towards it.
Okay, but it was really good. Ty, how are you?
I'm good. And what? Let me backpedal, so I totally missed my point there. But yes, the first podcast when we were good, I think you incited more violence, I imagine, with your comments from the last podcast, Sam, though. So I don't know how well we did on bridging the gap there, but I think we did a good job overall.
We're all aware. If we have accomplished anything, it's that we made awareness of spider cancer, and we have started a charity for the fight against spider cancer.
We have?
We have. It's mostly comes out of your guys' pay.
Oh.
You're paid?
I'm paid.
You're paid?
I'm paid.
Huh?
It's I'm not paid. I'm sad. Okay. But let's get back on track.
Someone's going to get audited like all hell this year.
Oh, crap.
You said it out loud.
It's recorded. It's a matter of public record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, let's get back on track. Okay, so basically this is episode 2, and for today's episode, we are gonna deal with digital media versus print media. That whole big giant gap. I think we can all agree that digital versus print, that's kind of a real feud. More of like digital coming in and pushing out the print. Print, I feel like, is basically struggling to survive nowadays. Probably, except for some exceptions, we'll get into later. Like magazines somehow seem to stick around. But yeah, I guess I wanted to ask you guys, like, digital media. What's some of your guys' favorite blogs? I mean, do you guys read blogs? Are you guys into that? Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite blogs is always going to be CNN's blog, their photo one, because there's always just some guy with a camera working for CNN taking pictures that need to ruin my day.
How do they ruin your day?
Well, I think today's or this week's posting was people who were sold into sex slavery in Eastern Europe. They're all insightful, great pictures. And they all tell a story, but they're all horrifyingly depressing.
Basically, they bring you down.
Yeah. Like, oh, man, I don't know how to deal with the rest of today. Not look at CNN. That's got to be my first step.
Maybe try to end sex slavery. You could try to do that all day.
I'm one man. I'm only one man.
One man?
But one
And
man
I'm only
can
one...
make a difference. Too.
Yes, one man can make a difference in the world. Mike. Never mind, Mike drives a Subura. So, you want to explain that for a second? You're a Subura, not Suburu. Ty.
Not Subura.
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 Yeah, my Subura is the vehicle that I currently drive. It is a Subaru.
No, it's not. It's a Subura.
Its previous owner was in a bit of a rear end accident.
Oh, I see.
The body shop that took care of it could not spell. And I bought this car fully knowing that.
See, Mike, you may only be one person, but you are the only person in the world driving a Subura.
I know, it's one of a kind. It's limited.
You roll up with your Subura,
And
you can end sex slavery everywhere.
Because everyone will be taken aback at how wonderfully craptastic my car is.
I don't want to have to be the one to say it.
Sorry, how's your bumper held to your car right now? Is it still a combination of rubber bands, of stray wires, and duct tape?
I wish it was that good. I wish it was that good. Silly putty. So you got CNN's blog. Any other blogs?
I always follow Flying Fist Ranch.
What's that?
On Comics Bulletin. It's this guy who's worked in marketing and writing of comics for years, Bew Smith. And he just writes this very macho sort of musings of his life in comics in the industry. And it's always fairly entertaining and occasionally insightful, and definitely a good read if you like comics.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I can understand. I don't read that many blogs, which I think is weird because I like blogging a lot, but I don't really read too many blogs. I mean, my favorite might be NPR's Monkey See blog, the pop culture blog that I really like. How about you, Ty?
I don't know. For blogs, not really. I think more along the lines of maybe like listening to podcasts.
Well, how about...
What? Do tell.
Yes, podcasts or even, following maybe Twitter updates or something. I'm more of like, I need my information more concise and short. And,
well, how about anything digital?
Hummingbird attention span?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's everybody nowadays. How about digital media that has a print equivalent, like any news sites, any webcomics? I mean, what are we really into at this table?
As in, wait, you mean like print?
Yeah, anything that has like a print
I'll still read
equivalent.
RollingStone.com, but only until I get my copy of Rolling Stone.
You get the copy first, and then you...
No, typically it's published online first, and then I get my copy. And then I can physically hold it and go, oh, I don't need to replace your battery or find your charger.
Well, that's actually interesting. So do you read the articles online and then get the magazine?
Yeah, well, I have a subscription. And
Okay.
they've always got very insightful little op-eds and some very good journalistic pieces.
Yeah.
And
But do you read all that online first?
not all of it, but
Okay.
I'll read a little bit I'll read a few here and there, and then I'll go right on back to the print copy once that comes.
Well, I find it interesting. It's almost like ruining it for yourself, reading it online, and then getting the print.
It's okay. I just wander into the magazine knowing that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. That's all.
Oh wow, that's very dramatic. Imagine.
Oh, it took me a second. For some reason you said Bruce Willis, and in my head I'm going, when did Bruce Campbell die? I don't know why.
Freudian slip.
Oh, maybe. Weird. How about you, Ty?
Alright, for, I think even, I do get, the Game Informer. Sometimes there's a digital version that comes out before the actual print version makes it, but usually, I don't know, I feel like I escape away from actually looking at the digital copy till actually the physical copy's in my hand for some reason. So, I don't know, it kind of works against it itself.
Is that with comic books or books?
It's more of video games.
Yeah, Game Informer.
Yeah.
There's the word game right
Game
in front
Informer.
of you.
I didn't hear the Game Informer part.
You just proceeded along like everything was okay?
I'm Sam.
Indeed you are.
This is how I host. This is how I host podcasts.
What did you say your name again was? I didn't catch anything.
My fiance Kathy.
Is that her name?
Her name is Kathleen. She actually wants to come on to be a Sam translator.
I think we might need it. I think we might need it.
Especially after listening to that first episode.
Of course.
Alright, guys. I guess basically, let's get back on track. Basically, okay, right before we get to the calls, basically, what do you guys prefer? Digital or print? Ty?
It depends. Like, you can't get over the fact that sometimes opening a book and just smelling the jacket and just having it in your hands is preferable. But even this day of age, when you want something really fast, you have to probably go digital. So I would have to say digital, even though I prefer having a book. I've been going digital out lately.
So it's nostalgic for you to have the book, but convenient for you to do the digital?
Yeah, because like even having the digital form, you still have to have something in your hand to look at it. But still, it's not the same as, flipping a page or filling it under your fingers. But you would have, just for sheer convenience and not having to wait 3-4 weeks for a delivery of a book you're wanting, like right now, digital usually is the way to go these days, I imagine.
All right, we'll get definitely gonna get more into that later. How about you, Mike?
I feel that they both serve different functions, really.
How so?
Digital is fine; it's the new thing, and it allows you to do a lot of different things. Your articles can now link out to your sources and other things. It has multimedia you can incorporate, so digital on that front's really cool and interesting if you want to have sort of this different experience and almost maybe even a fuller understanding of what you're reading. And print is just good because it's still that tactile feeling. It like you said, the smelling the jacket, the feeling the page, plus I don't have to recharge a book or a magazine or a newspaper.
Sure.
And I'm really happy about that. And there's a part of me that just feels I'm not going to take my iPad or my laptop someplace, on train ride maybe even. If I'm just going to work and taking the bus or something, a newspaper's still awesome. Or a magazine.
So, print is like this physical, nostalgic experience.
Must you group everything so conveniently?
Yes, but digital, I guess, in your opinion, digital might be the better overall experience because you can link out to so many other different things. It creates this bigger experience of the content. Yeah,
and not to diminish print's impact or experience, but you have page space and you have word count, and that's the limits you can do it in. And digital, you still have that, but you also have the opportunity to showcase different things and link out to your sources.
Yeah,
or just interrupt your article with a cute kitten video because people started losing interest.
Those are the best.
Or funny little gifs.
It's basically the same thing for me. I get nostalgic about print. I really...
To the good old days when you were at your press, printing up your various writings.
Well, like, I am in the ripe old age of 26, so... it goes further back.
Yeah.
For me.
Well, Ty remembers the first Gutenberg press.
Ty, how old are you?
Let's not go there.
Ty is 86.
What? No.
Ty, this is a computer. This is a microphone.
The devil does not live in either of them.
Yes.
Gas.
This is not your dead wife, this is not Betty, as you keep referring to it. This is a microphone.
Where is my scotch? I need my scotch now.
Sorry, Ty. But
Ty gets punchy without his medicine.
I mean, I come from a journalism background and everything, and
Communications.
Whatever, shut up. I still like getting my newspapers. I mean, even though they're getting thinner and thinner, which on one hand is really sad because it is a nostalgic thing for me. But I love multimedia, and as someone who genuinely loves print, I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, it is the new way. I also feel like it creates this huge, vast experience for you. I mean, you can literally do anything. You can write an article. You can attach a video to that article. You can link to sources. You can have photographs all on one screen, essentially. So,
or you could break it up into several pages so you can get more ad revenue per page.
That'd be nice. Hey, why don't we try to get ad revenue for this podcast?
Oh, that's awesome. We're going to have to put one out more than once every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. Do we need to explain what an online ad is to Ty?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, you actually want me to explain it to
the spirits of commerce and advertisement buy space on your little place within this ghost box.
Oh, ghost box.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then people who view your spirit through this ghost box say, there's an advertisement up there as well.
I see.
And Ty,
the fairies smile upon this.
Oh.
And Ty, when you speak, I want you to put your mouth right up to the microphone, or
not on it. Not on it.
Yeah,
she doesn't like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
No, Ty.
What?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If you get too close, she. Let's get started. Okay, so basically, this is how it's going to go today. I mean, this is going to be vastly different than from the first episode. Went a little bit too long, I think, for our taste. Yeah, exactly. So basically what we're going to do today is we're going to play opinion calls, our audience views on the feud, digital versus print today. And we'll go into depth with each call. And, we're going to do that. We're not really going to pick a winner or anything like that. I have a feeling after these calls we'll come to some sort of agreement. I mean, we'll
People will be informed.
We'll get pretty much into this.
Yeah.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yes,
well, maybe you'll agree to disagree. I mean, I believe that's why we ended our... I don't want to go into it. But, alright, so you guys want to get started with our first voicemail?
Alright, let's do it.
Alright.
I believe it says Amber?
Alright, here goes the first one.
Hi, so print versus digital media. I'm old school, so I've always preferred print, especially when it comes in book form. Just for me, I'm just a bookworm. I'm obsessed with books, and I've always wanted to have my own big library whenever I got that dream house of mine, or even if it's an apartment. I always said it would have to be a 2-bedroom apartment just so that I would have one room just dedicated to books. And you can ask anyone, especially when it comes to paperback versus hardback. I always buy the hardback, no matter the cost, things like that. But in regards to the ebook format, I will admit I do have an iPad, and I do occasionally, well, not even occasionally, sometimes use the iBook app on my iPad, and that's only basically when a new author comes out with a book, but it's only in ebook format. Other than that, if one of my favorite authors comes out with a book in either ebook or print, I'll go for the print right away. As for maybe the publishing industry working well with print and digital media, I don't know. Again, when it comes to book publishers, I'm thinking that so that the actual paper and hardback, renditions of books do not fall on the wayside, they should probably release the print format first, and then maybe, after a little bit, maybe a few months, maybe 6 months, just like what they do with hardback comes out first, and then the paperback, they can release the ebook format later on. That way, at least the paperback and hardback, the print versions, have some running chance of surviving. I just feel like in this digital age, we're kind of losing that grip that, books are still great. They're still useful. And some people just like having the feel of a book in their hands. Whereas with digital media or, those iPad Nooks, they're all great in some way or form. They conserve space. But at the end of the day, I just want to have my room filled with books, a library filled with books. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Amber. There's actually a few things I would like to talk about from here. I mean, she mentions that one reason why she likes print is because she's an old school type of person. Much like Ty. Oh. I just assume. And we talked about the nostalgic nature of print earlier. But is there something like genuine to that? Can print ever go away because people are nostalgic about it?
Print won't go away purely because there are still people who will buy ad space on it.
True.
You don't see the Metro really having a bad year because they always find people, mostly various assorted sundry sex workers of some sort, to advertise in the back of their newspaper so they can publish whatever AP story they picked up on the wire.
But what if ads, and this is already a trend, but what if in the future all advertisers finally reach that decision of enough with print? We're just doing ads online.
For that to work, the people they expect to buy the product would not touch print at all. And that's the entire idea behind it, that at some point you're going to have a whole society that is going to be well off enough to afford devices that can actually read digital content on a regular basis like that.
Yeah.
And probably not. No. Plus, there's still always going to be the small community paper of some sort.
Yeah. But how about do people love print that much? Do we think back fondly, forget ads and forget all that, could print survive just on love alone? Or do you envision a world where even that's, because as generations come and go, people are going to start being born where they've never read a print book or a print magazine or a print newspaper.
I don't think that's going to be for a while.
I think it's going to be maybe more antiquated as we go along, as more people get more used to Kindles, iPads, get more digital format, and then it's probably going to come to a point where it's going to be you look at that old thing and you're like, oh look, that's a book, and you never saw a book before because everything's been digital, and it's going to probably still exist in some form whatsoever, but it's just not going to be as common as it is today, I imagine. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think along the same ways. I do believe print will stick around, but at the same time I'm nostalgic about print. Yeah. I think I'm biased towards it where I don't want it to go away, so I might be tricking myself into believing it will never go away. Just last year, I think it was, I was involved in Philadelphia. They had a big old project dedicated to love of print. It was called Darwin's Tract House, where they put out a call for writers to do essays about Charles Darwin, and the catch was all of our essays would be printed on these cool little print paper that all had illustrations on it. It was really neat. It just kind of showed me that there's still this community that really loves print out there, even though our devices are getting cheaper and smaller and faster. But I guess we'll see. I don't envision print going away in our lifetime. Definitely not Ty's, because he'll be dead in 5 years. But
But hey, he got to see the first train, so count him lucky.
That's true. And Amber talked about libraries. This is just a weird thing. Do you guys, digital media, do you guys think there will ever be a library of Kindles, a library of ebooks?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Libraries are already redesigning themselves for the most part with whatever meager funds they can manage to scrounge up, and they're trying to sort of appeal more to, I guess, the Barnes & Noble-y kind of crowd, make it more of a laid-back kind of atmosphere.
But how so? With, in
different
terms of,
furniture,
digital
colorings. Yeah, they're going to offer more ebooks and more digital options. And all you need is a good Wi-Fi connection in there, and you can hook up right to the library's website, get your ebook copies if it's available. I think it's still going to happen. Maybe it'll just be remote. Maybe the building itself will go away.
That's interesting. I don't know why I thought it was such an absurd idea. In my mind, I went all literal with it. Like, instead of books, there will be, like, Kindles.
A library completely composed of digital code?
Or no, just like stacks of Kindles instead of books, and you have to go, like...
Give it 5 years and the base Kindle will probably be inexpensive enough to compete with a newly released hardcover.
It's only like $79, I think, right?
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
So, like, another 2 years or so, it's going to go down another 20, another 2 after that. Yeah, so there could be racks and racks of just unused, unloved Kindles because they're so inexpensive and no one wants to buy them for $4.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think that literal sense when you said that. I was like, wait a minute. Books and shelves and Kindles? I don't think that's possible. But still.
This Kindle is just dedicated to Of Pride and Prejudice. That's it.
That's what I thought.
This Kindle is just the Dan Brown Kindle.
Call me weird, but that's what... Oh, get rid of that Kindle. But no, that's actually really interesting. Because you mentioned... I never thought of that. I mean, I do know that libraries, sadly, a lot of them are starting to go away because people aren't going to libraries anymore. Why would you when you have the internet and things like that? Mm-hmm. But like you said, why can't they get rid of the building and have it be a remote system? Yeah. I actually find that concept
if you're
really
going to get
interesting.
rid of any sort of community-lent print books, but you still want to do community-lent books, you could just do it all digitally. But your community would to serve the community, you would have to be able to justify and prove that most of its residents can access that.
Well, then would libraries still exist, or would it be like a Napster kind of thing where people are sharing books in a free kind of way, much like music gets shared in that model?
I don't know if it would be like Napster. I mean...
Like Napster for books. Like, hey...
It's a little global. I would imagine it has to be more of a local level, like some... server.
Why can't it happen?
You know what? It's going to be like it was in the 70s with old programs. There's just going to be a cork board with plastic bags that have giant floppy disks in it.
Ty remembers the 70s.
Yeah, he
I remember
pioneered
floppy
it.
disks. I do.
I was just about to insult Ty, and at the last second I decided not to. You're welcome, Ty.
Thanks.
But why can't it happen globally? Much like with music. I mean, at the end of the day...
Try to get the entire global community to agree that they all want Dan Brown's
No,
next book.
I just mean in the sense of...
I agree.
Yeah.
No, but I know, seriously. I mean in the sense of, like, Napster was doing it with music. Why can't people just decide to make a Napster book thing and just start sharing? I mean, it's all digital files. They could still do it.
I mean, I think you get to the point maybe like you have to charge like to maintain a global system of books. That
Well, I just mean global in the sense of just Napster, of just people uploading, because that's the thing with Napster. People just share the music.
Well, then couldn't we already say that the Pirate Bay is doing that, and any other BitTorrent site?
Yeah,
They're just not reimbursing anybody.
Yeah, you
and
could
there's no
say that.
community funds.
You could say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see that people do that with books, digital books, at least not yet.
Because if you go on the Pirate Bay, you're not going to read anything.
No, people are downloading episodes of like Doctor Who or something.
That's not to say how Sam views Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, true, very true.
What? I'm sorry, there was a tear in my eye.
Yeah.
There was a tear in my eye. Amber, one last thing about this call. Amber made one point I thought might have been interesting. She talked about how maybe with books they should release the print version first, and then like a couple months later, maybe 6 months later, then release the digital copy. What do you guys think about that?
I think that if you treat the digital copy like the paperback, it's probably just going to be a blowback on your readership.
How so?
If people are already buying up these e-readers or any sort of, or even just an iPad, and they're just looking to get a book through iTunes, they're not going to want to wait that time to get an ebook, which previously was released day to date.
Yeah.
Plus, for Barnes & Noble or something, it would kill their whole business because they're surviving on the Nook right now.
Yeah, it's the only
And if you tell every customer, you can get this Nook, but that book over there is going to be in hardback for 6 weeks, and you're not going to be able to read it on your tiny electronic thing until then.
And I think it's interesting, but again, it's that bias towards print. I think if anyone were to do that, it would just be an obvious attempt to keep print around.
Yeah.
But we are also a culture. We are a digital culture. Thing about digital is you get it right away.
Mm-hmm.
People would be, and I think people would be in an uproar if they had to buy
If they
print
had
and
to
then
wait and have patience.
God
man.
forbid patience.
Oh, you mean I actually have to go there physically and pick out a copy? Ugh.
I know.
And there are people there.
Poor bastards. How about you, Ty? What do you think about that?
I think it's just realistically the cost. Like, you put out an ebook versus putting out a print book. I mean, ebook's going to be
It's
cheaper.
cents on the dollar.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be cheaper, but I'm still, like, even, I don't know, like, I think even just the, to put it after paperback, I think it's going to, I don't know, be counterproductive, because, like, you can still get probably more people to buy the ebook than probably to buy the paperback. And of course, from experience from you, too, working in the bookstore, like, people wait until that book is on paperback because you do not want to spend that much money to buy a book. So
That's true.
I don't think it would work that way. I think in terms of just getting ebook out before, like giving the ebook more of a weight than the paperback, because it's not. I don't think it's also going to work out.
It'd probably have a worse reaction than Netflix splitting into two. Well, what was it? A Zipster?
Flickster?
No. Remember? No, did I say Napster? I meant Netflix. I did say Netflix.
You said Napster.
You said Napster before, now you say Netflix.
Damn it, Netflix.
Why are you trying to say up this upset?
We need Kathy here to translate me. No, back when Netflix had.
Do you really want to keep going?
Netflix had its failed attempt to split into wasn't it like
brands?
Zipster or something?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was Zipster. Yeah.
Yeah, again, that would have been a situation of splitting up like its hard copy DVDs with its digital version.
Streaming.
Yeah, and that lasted like a week.
Yeah.
Before they had to finally give that up. All right, let's move on to our second call. Ty, who do we have next?
I believe it's
Jess. All right.
Hi, this is Jess Ayers calling from Quakertown. I just wanted to weigh in on the whole print media versus digital media debate. Okay, hang on. I personally haven't picked up a newspaper in years. I get all of my news on like MSNBC. I get it all on the net. However, when it's I'm standing in line or just need some time to myself, I prefer standing in line in a grocery store. Usually, I'm looking at headlines, but I do still read magazines, and there's nothing to me that will ever take the place of an actual paperback or a paper print book. There's something about the way they smell, about the way, a brand new book, you crack them open. So I don't think I would ever be one that used a Kindle or a Nook. And I think they can work together in terms of, I still like, I would still like to read a newspaper. I just don't normally have time, so I'm skimming the headlines. The thing that concerns me about digital media is that for people that aren't versed in all of this new technology and things like that, they kind of get left behind or they get left out. And I don't like that. And I don't like the waste that both of them produce. Obviously trees need to be cut down in order to make print media, but I like the fact that, for at least for newspapers, there's other uses for them. For spills or starting a fire, you can reuse newspaper for any number of things. If you're not going to recycle it, what concerns me about all this new digital media is what happens when they're obsolete. Is it just more stuff that ends up in landfills, or are they being recycled? That's my main concern. But I still think there's a place for both of them. There's always going to be people that prefer print media over digital media, and I think they kind of fill in the gaps where the other ones where the other one leaves off. But like I said, my biggest concerns for both is the waste and the various medias that aren't necessarily technologically user-friendly for people that don't have access to them get left behind, and I think that's a problem. So those are my brief comments. I apologize for my son being up in the background. and he had comments as well. He still reads his cardboard books, so he's still on print media. All right. Well, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to hearing the podcast. Take care. Bye.
All right, guys. One quick question. Mike, if you were to recycle your iPad, name the top 5 things that you would use the scrap metal for.
I guess probably assembling another iPad-like device. Because it's all very small components of various odd materials.
Would you know how to fix one?
No. If I had to recycle an iPad, I wouldn't even go to scrap it. It would probably just prop up a table that needs something. Or, like, serve as a nice coaster.
Not to use? We'll get into all that in a second. But, and I'd like to point out that Jess hasn't picked up a newspaper in years, even though she would want to, but she hasn't. And I would just like to give a shout out to her because she is the reason why I am only a freelancer and am not hired on any staffs. Thank you, Jess. Thank you.
So not only did you Shatner that last bit up, you just blamed the lady who called in?
Yes.
Yeah, he did, pretty much.
She should hire me, is what I'm saying.
She should hire you with her monies and buy the newspapers.
Yes.
So you and you alone can have a job.
Yes.
Because truly, she is
me.
just the thing that's holding you back.
Yes,
it's not
she is.
a sort of systemic, generational thing.
If she would pay the $1.25 for a newspaper every day, I could get hired on staff somewhere. I am just saying. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that laugh. I'm dead serious. But alright.
There is a lot of unjustified bitterness going on right now.
How about you guys? Where do you guys mostly get your news? Print or online?
I would say online. I mean, usually even for social networking too, you kind of get someone hears something and passes along, and you get that information disseminated that way. I mean, rarely I would look at newspapers, but just as brings up a point when you're standing in like a supermarket line, you do see all those tabloid articles staring at you. There's the reason why they're there, because you have to wait. So you can imagine you can get some kind of news or some kind of gossip through that way also.
What do you have like a favorite news site? You usually like get your news from?
More local
Scotch
stuff.
Enthusiasts Weekly?
No. No. The way you said it, you should have had like a pinky up to your lip and a scotch in like your other hand.
Who says I do not?
No.
Like, that's not fair. I only read up on brandy.
No, I think more local stuff. I mean, even on some. I mean, not all the local sites have like versatile information that easily.
It's about like Philly.com or
yeah, Philly.com. Just for local news. I mean, even sometimes even waking up early enough to turn on the TV, you can get some your local dose of like news and recycled every like 30 minutes because they don't have much to talk about.
Well, there are 24 programmable hours in a day, and sometimes you just have to fill that.
They wish there was more. God, our society would be so much worse if there was more than 24 hours in a day. Can you imagine how much more? Can you imagine how much more CNN would use their like hologram anchors? They tried. Do you remember that? They tried pulling
coming
that.
up next, Will.i.am is going to give you a recipe through a hologram.
Yeah, they tried that during the last election. I think it was. Use the hologram.
Well, that's just Turner money. That's different.
They tried.
That's not even news money. That's just Ted Turner trying to colorize the moon or whatever else his new obsession is.
It looked worse than like the first Star Wars movie where like Obi-Wan shows up all hologram. Yeah, it was a ghosty. Yeah. And it was bad. How about you, Mike? Do you usually get your news online or print?
At this point, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Twitter, for the most part, is my own little Associated Press wire.
Yeah. So you get yours from Twitter. That's interesting. Not even a news
I'll
site?
read the BBC every day.
Okay.
I love the BBC because their editorial edict is pretty much that the Empire never had the sun set on them, so they cover everything.
Do you wish we never left the homeland?
Well, our homelands are quite different, so I have no idea where you're getting
But they're the original homeland. They're our original homeland. Huh? Do you wish we never left the homeland?
No, I'm fine that we left the homeland.
I'm just making sure. I mean, you're reading
I'm just
news.
okay with reading BBC's news because they're the only people that still cover, like, the Congo on a regular basis.
I wish I never left.
They actually do in-depth articles on business in China or Middle Eastern affairs. And if I go to CNN, they'll have something in there. They'll do some good reporting, but more than likely their front page and their top stories are going to be, why does Mitt Romney's son look like he's going to eat his father? Have you seen a picture of him? He always looks hungry.
Does he?
Always looks hungry.
Does he always look hungry for...
He looks malnourished.
The son.
No. The son looks hungry.
The son looks hungry.
You
S-U-N or S-O-N?
Did you really just slam this up? Did you just come into this conversation at a point and go, he's talking about the sun? Which sun?
I have
Is
not...
it the sun we rotate around?
I have not even been drinking. Seriously, do you want to know what I've been thinking about the last couple minutes while you've been talking?
No.
Seriously, on my mind, and I am dead serious, I was back in my head, I was back in the homeland watching Sherlock early. Because they get it earlier over there, those episodes, and over here, so I'm like, I could totally go back. Even if it just meant getting my TV early.
You would only go back because BBC airs slightly earlier.
Yes.
You don't want to wait till it comes to PBS and Masterpiece Mystery or anything? No. If I could only go back in time and be like... And stop the revolution?
Stop Paul Revere and be
well,
like...
put the tea back in the boat, kids.
Hey, dude, I want my Sherlock episodes early. But you can't make fun of the Queen over there. It's so horrible.
This is such a random...
You're torn...
Seriously,
You're torn
can't.
between getting Sherlock on time and making fun of the Queen Mother.
Did you know that if, like, she gave a speech, right? You cannot go on the air and mock it. You can't, like, make fun of, like, anything, like, she says.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
You can't. It's ridiculous. Because God made her king, like, I won't say king, made her queen. You can't, like, mess with the chick. You probably can't call her chick.
No, probably Dame or Bird.
Yeah, that's probably true. What were we talking about?
Sam.
Our son.
Oh, I get my news mostly online. I mean, I hate to say it, because I used to read the paper every single day, but papers have gotten so thin now. It's seriously like the industry... Well, I mean, advertisers are pulling out, so they have less money. They're... Especially in Philadelphia, the newspapers are so incredibly thin now.
Even the Daily News is thinner than usual.
It's basically non-existent. And what surprises me is, like, I saw it coming to Daily News, but the Inquirer is definitely thinner. And I've talked to a bunch of people who don't even bother with it anymore because it's just so thin now. I mean, I feel like if you want to get news, you go online. And I don't even particularly go to any news sites. I usually sift through Yahoo News.
Oh, so it's my... I'm terrible for getting my news from Twitter feeds, but you're wonderful for going to Yahoo News?
You're pro-monarchy. I'm on Yahoo.
You have no substantial proof of that. None.
I do. We can rewind back. Yeah.
No, we can't. We're recording in real time. We can't rewind back. What do you mean? I support the monarchy. You support something older than AOL.
Yeah, but AOL isn't around anymore.
Yeah, it still is.
No, it's still there. I actually still have it. AOL.
It owns HuffPo. What are you talking about?
HuffPo. Huffington Post. Oh, Live Science. That's a science news site where I really like to get
so excited about that.
News.
You were so excited.
I love my science. I love my science.
Wait, what do you love?
LiveScience.com.
Oh, okay.
It's basically my place to go to get my science news and everything. But back to Jess. She did make a magazines. Why are magazines able to stay around? I mean, we did a few years ago. The industry really went through like a whole period where it looked like it was going to completely fold, and a lot of magazines have folded. It's bounced back. Revenue is up in the magazine industry. Why? Why are newspapers more likely to go out than magazines? Because
e-readers are more expensive, and maybe people with limited income don't want to take their expensive computing device and read the online edition of the magazine. Maybe they just want to take that copy that they can take anywhere and lose even and dispose of at some point.
So what you're saying is it's magazines are cheaper than like buying
in the long
a laptop
run.
or
Yeah.
in the long run. I don't know, but I mean, I think
Plus, it's harder to take a laptop into the bathroom.
see, that's what I was gonna get through.
Oh, Sam doesn't know. Wait, Ty doesn't know about that?
No, I don't. I think you could possibly take a laptop in the bathroom if we had the adequate flat surface to put it on.
So, Ty, you have a table in your
Have
bathroom
you
for
or
your
have
laptop?
you not taken your laptop into the bathroom? Is question A. Question B is, have we Skyped while you were...
We have not Skyped.
Why
in the
does your
bathroom.
wallpaper keep changing? Why are there these funny tiles on one room?
Interesting.
I swear to
I'm
God,
not
that's a
taking
shower
computer
head
in the
behind you.
bathroom. The sink. I mean, as long as you don't use the sink while your computer's on the sink, you're fine.
Okay, wait. All kidding aside, I'm going to be completely honest right now. Even just yesterday, I highly considered bringing in my MacBook Pro with me into the bathroom. Highly considered it. Didn't do it,
Yeah,
but I
you're right.
highly considered it.
No, that's where magazines go. We all know
Exactly.
this. The coffee table or the bathroom. Sometimes both, and you don't tell your friends.
Yeah, and I feel like a magazine, so much goes into the content because mainly niche magazines are doing the best right now. So you get so much more in depth into the content than you can in newspapers. And with newspapers, there's a new one every day. Magazines are like that thing you keep around for a month. It's that thing you can just always keep around. Where newspapers, you feel like you can just dispose of them.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, it's sad to say, I just feel like newspapers as an industry right now are disposable. But magazines, at least, I feel like, at least the niche ones can stick around. And just made an interesting point that I don't usually hear is that the recycling issue. Print, you know, is recyclable easily, but it's not like you don't see iPads or iPhones or laptops, at least in the mainstream, by the majority of people being recycled. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
It is easier to recycle a newspaper because it doesn't have palladium components in it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Not anyone
There you
like
go.
it.
Yeah, that's true, too.
I don't know. I think someone eventually will figure out a way how to recycle. Maybe some recycle their iPads or old used Kindles artistically, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's got to be some way to put them to use besides having them just break
Donate them to an art school for an installation piece?
Possibly.
Well, I mean, I have heard of that. I mean, if I were more, like, aware and sentient, I could have looked it up. If I were more sentient. I could have looked it up. I used to intern for an environmental magazine in Philly, and, you know, I remember coming across organizations that would recycle your computers for you, your TVs for you, your iPods. I mean, it's definitely possible. I guess it hasn't reached mainstream culture yet. You know, we don't throw out our iPads into our blue recycle bins the same way as you do your newspapers.
Well, because someone would take them.
Well, even that's kind of
Yes.
that's kind of a form of recycling anyway. If you think about it, if someone else is going to take it, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stores are even taking back old iPads, iPhones, you know, just to resell them, you know, at a cheaper price. So eventually they do make it back. As long as they still work, let's put it that way. If they don't work, then, you know.
If you take them into the bathroom, they might not work anymore.
Oh, I've done that too. It works.
Ooh.
I've dropped CD players in the bathroom. Back when CD players still existed. I'll never
That's how
forget.
old school you're...
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
26.
Oh,
Jesus.
there you go.
I remember once trying to take a Victrola player into the bathroom.
I'll never forget washing my hands, and I kind of had my CD player underneath my armpit, so I'm washing my hands, and I moved the pit, and my CD player fell out into the sink. Yeah, that's me.
What were you using in the player at
Yes.
that moment?
What was the
I
do you
don't
remember?
remember,
The
but
Space Jam soundtrack?
no.
Then I think we're
And-
okay. I think it's acceptable what happened.
I don't know. It might have been a little bit of like, you know, bye bye bye.
Uh-oh.
No.
I went through a phase, and I will not apologize for it.
No, you should.
I went through a phase. You know, yeah, I once dropped two CD players down the sewer.
What is you with CD players? It seemed to...
Wait, this is no lie, and this is a Bridge Podcast exclusive. In 5 years, I went through 30 CD players.
You had the money for 30 CD players?
No, because back then, when Sears still existed, they had a thing called a warranty.
Okay.
No matter what you did to it, Sears would always take you back.
And I was never dirty about it. There wasn't anything shady going on. I legitimately broke every single CD player that I had to the point where I had to keep going back to use this warranty.
Wow.
And it might be because of me that warranty went away. I don't know, but...
We all blame Sam for that now.
I've had Pepsi spilled on it. I had 2 fall down sewer grates. I dropped into my bathroom sink. Too many things. Oh, and I guess one last thing. We'll talk about that later. Later call touches on that. How about we play our third call?
Oh. All right, the third call is from Tom.
Hello, my name is Tom Verena. I'm a lecturer, student, author, biblioblogger, and writer. I was asked to give my opinion on the matter of print media versus blogs, and there's a lot of discussion about this actually within the blogging community, especially within the past couple of years, as we've seen a decline in print media and a rise of digital media. And this can be in the form of either a podcast, such as this one, or written digital media like blogs or apps or anything of that sort. And the biblioblogging community is actually a community of scholars and academics who write on the subject of biblical studies. And there's also groups that deal with classics and other forms of history, archaeology, and things like that blog a lot about these subjects. The question that comes into play a lot is whether or not a blog can be credible, whether something online can be credible. And anyone who spends a lot of time online, like I do, or others like me, know that a lot of the time stuff that you find online isn't necessarily at all viable or credible. Most of it is opinions in the form of facts, or there's logical fallacies, or appeals to authority without any sort of acknowledgement as to the credentials of the person speaking about them. So blogs come into play. Is that when you have a blog written by a credible person, does that make that blog credible? And this is the question that I think kind of plays into the idea of media versus, or print media versus digital media, as it were, like blogs and so forth. But then the question also comes into play is, well, the same thing could happen in print media. You could have a non-credible person publish a book, and that book could be circulated. And, of course, anyone who's ever worked in a bookstore can tell you that the self-help section is quite large. And one must wonder if any of those people are credible. But the fact of the matter is that digital media has a future that print media can't compete with. It has a broader range. It costs less money. It costs no money to produce. I mean, all it takes is a couple of digital processing ability, and that's pretty much it. Whereas print media, you have to actually have a press, and you have to pay people to organize everything and to copy edit, and there's a lot of stuff involved, which all costs money. So your production value for print media is expensive, and the price, therefore, is exponentially more than what you would pay if you downloaded something onto a Nook, say, for like $2, whereas in print it might be $50.
All right, thank you, Tom. Call got cut off at the end, but that's okay. He brings up one really big question. But before we get to that, I just wanted to point out that me and Ty have both worked in bookstores, and Tom is completely right. The self-help section is huge, and because I worked in a bookstore, I constantly found myself in the self-help section, pondering ways to rip people off by writing a self-help book.
You never did help yourself, did you?
No! Helping myself would have been writing a self-help book to rip people off.
Ah, okay.
That's the way to go.
Yes, I cheated you, and here's how.
I swear to you, 90% of those books are just that. Am I right, Ty?
Exactly.
90% of those books have Steve Harvey on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I wrote this, it says self-help, buy it, your money's mine.
Are you telling me that syndicated radio host, Family Feud host, and an original king of comedy with a mildly entertaining sitcom in the 90s and the early 2000s may or may not know what he's talking about?
if you're the host of Family Feud, can you be the king of comedy?
Probably not. No, I'm gonna say no. I think that title's been rescinded.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, but the big question that Tom raised, just one that really matters to me a lot, is can blogs be credible? If you think about it, blogs versus newspapers. Newspapers, even though it is true that all newspapers do come with some form of slant of bias, no matter how small or how big, it's there. But in newspapers, I feel like we trust a lot more in journalistic integrity, that unbiased approach to news. Can we treat blogs the same way?
I think it would really depend on how you... I don't know. I guess it would truly depend on how the reader can tell the intent of the author, or if they're any good at determining whether or not the piece is a slant.
Does the blog or the blogger have the responsibility to give his or her intent?
I mean, it's online, so it's going to be, you're going to have blogs and things that want to say things one way, and then someone else is going to have a different opinion on it entirely. It's just for intent. Tom's bringing up on credibility. I think for most of us this age, you do tend to question stuff you find online, because not all of it is technically true. And there's always that disclaimer at the bottom is like, this is not, totally factual or hasn't been proven. And there is something with journalism and looking at newspapers or articles that this is from a credible source in comparison to a blog where you might know it might be a teenager writing up some intense news story, and then his opinion intent is kind of known, but then you take it as credible because that's the format is in now. And I don't know, you can debate it probably. This is one of those things you can debate for a while.
Not to discourage that teenager or his career path.
True. I better get hired before that teenager. But no, I do agree with that, because I feel like the very nature of blogs. I feel like blogs are an opinion-oriented medium, and with blogs, with online media, especially with blogs, everybody's a writer now. You don't need training. You don't need to go to journalism school or have some.
Right.
You don't need to spell right, although you probably
should.
You don't need to do any of that stuff. You don't need to fact check. Proofread, fact check. You don't need sources. You don't need any of that. But
you do need.
You can still have a blog. You still need the GIF.
You need a very funny GIF, and that's about it.
For some reason, I keep thinking of peanut butter.
All right, let's move on.
No, isn't it like GIF? Peanut butter. It's just where my mind went to.
The sun thing again.
Because Sam had a Sam moment.
You really need my fiance here. But
he only says that so he doesn't have to drive home.
Oh God, I wish not. But that's the very nature of blogs, is that it's an opinion-oriented media. So for as much as I love blogging, and for as much as I could love blogs, I personally would never trust an actual news story from a blog. Mm-hmm. You guys kind of feel the same way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If they linked out to wherever they sourced from, that'd be something.
Yeah, that I believe is at least one step closer to giving whatever you have to say some credibility at least. Always link, because at the end of the day, you're always linking back to a news story. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It can't be a newspaper, obviously, but you can link back to a news website.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking, or maybe it's like my schooling or something that infuriates me about this. I hate it when people refer to blog posts as articles. Yeah. I can't stand it. I've even gotten that phrase like in the form of a compliment. Someone will read a blog post I post, and I've gotten, "Oh, that was a really good that was a good article you posted," and I just bite my teeth, because to me an article is something news, unbiased. There's a hint of training in it. There's there's sources, there are facts behind it. It's news. Where a blog post is, I just wanted to talk about peanut butter. And that was it.
That must have been a hell of an article on peanut butter that you wrote.
Not an article, it's a blog post. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know. It's just me. I just don't even like mixing the two terminologies.
I think you're arguing semantics by this point, I imagine. I mean...
Yeah, but it shouldn't be, though. They're two completely different things. I mean, do you not see, like, articles and blog posts are two completely different things, or...
It depends. I can see if you can consider something maybe from a blog post to be an article if it came from a credible source, like depending on what, if like it's on some kind of subject area that person wanted to blog about, and he is well known in that area, field expertise. I could consider it an article, even though.
But okay, how about using the word like essay? Because even in a newspaper or a magazine, if you're not writing an article, you're writing an essay or an op-ed.
Mm-hmm.
I consider a blog post to be like an essay or an op-ed because it's still vastly different from an article.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, depending on, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what. I mean, you're trying to narrow blogs into like informative or have some kind of purpose. I mean, it really depends. Like, your blog could be practically anything. So if you don't narrow it down to something in regards, I mean, you can say anything about it, regardless, I guess.
I mean, I guess one pro argument would be for calling it articles, like if you had a garden site and you had some sort of expert who would do what he calls blog posts, but because he's an expert talking to experts, it might be a actual like an article type of thing. But I don't know. Part of me just finds that terminology, that word blog, naturally distrustful in a way, more so than like a news piece, newspaper, or an article or something like that.
Well, what would you call a newspaper that has a blog, and then they would talk about news issues? Would that still considered a blog?
Op-ed. I call it an op-ed because that's what you do in op-ed. You know, an op-ed, you still have to mention some sources. You know, you still have to talk to some experts. And it could also be about the news, but it's that columnist's opinion.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a nitpicky thing, I guess.
Are you saying that hard-hitting journalism can't come out of a live journal?
Live journal. I still have mine.
Oh.
I really do. It's adorable. It's adorable.
Is it still hooked up with your MySpace account?
This is MySpace. I actually logged on to that about 6 months ago. My page actually had like a gun to its head. Right? Fist raised in the air. Facebook. But no, I mean that's actually a good point. Because nowadays a lot of stories are broke over Twitter.
Yeah.
Over blog pieces, people live blogging something that might be happening.
I know. I heard about Bin Laden's assassination from Twitter before I heard it anywhere else. And I think it was Richard Engel's Twitter at that.
Yeah.
So he may work for a major news organization, even a televised one, but he goes to Twitter first and say, by the way, guys, Bin Laden's dead. LOL.
Obama had somebody shot in the face. Now him and Cheney have something in common. But, no, that's a good point, because... Give me that look.
That just came out of nowhere.
No, that's a good point, and it does confuse my nitpicky point. I guess, like the caller Amber was saying earlier, I guess that's me kind of being more old school. You know, I guess as time goes on...
Do you want a little newsy on the street corners going, read all about it?
I'm not like Ty. I'm not that
Back when he owned several newspapers?
Ty was that kid back in the day. But I guess as we move forward, the words article and blog post really will get more and more confused as time goes on. But just one more quick point from Tom. He does bring up a really good point about blogs itself that I like. Because I really like this about blogs. When you think of blogs... I think about like a community. You have a blogging community. Whether that means people sending you comments and you're interacting that way, or you could be part of a blogging forum where everybody's kind of talking about the same thing. It's something that blogs have that newspapers don't. Now, we do have like community newspapers. Like in my neighborhood, I don't even remember the name of our newspaper, but it's a little community.
No Parking Weekly?
I have no idea. Oh God, what is it called? I'm not gonna try to remember. God, I'm start talking about like peanut butter again or something.
Stop samming it up. Just get on with it.
Oh, yeah. Newspapers. Yeah, so my community has a newspaper. And, I mean, it is kind of intimate. They'll talk about things going on in the neighborhood. One fond memory I have of my neighborhood newspaper. Okay, so apparently one night my neighbors lived next door to me. They had just graduated from Temple University, from college, right? So in their minds, the thing to do to graduate was to get wasted most likely on drugs. You have to be on something to do the thing that they did. Basically, they started on one block. It was a guy and a girl, man and his girl roommate, whatever. Doug and Nicole. I'm not afraid to say their names. He grabbed like some sort of like bat-ish type of thing. She put a brick in her purse, and they made a straight line from the first car. They hit the car. They dented the crap out of the car, and for about 3.5 blocks, made a straight line of denting every single car right up into basically the front of my house because we were next door neighbors. So you could track their path for about 3 blocks. So when they got arrested, which was awesome, Nicole kept yelling at the cops that she didn't know where her shoes were. She had to walk home barefoot the next day. It was great. But our community newspaper, because it's a community newspaper, knew about this, and they posted their mugshots in the paper. It was the best thing I've ever seen. But again, a community newspaper, because it's a newspaper, you can write letters to the editor, but there's no real direct interaction going on. And not any neighbor can just be like, oh, I would like to write something too, I'm going to have something in a newspaper. While in the blogging community, anybody can have their 2 cents. Anybody can say anything and anybody can contribute. Mm-hmm. So I believe that's a major plus of blogging. And I definitely believe in that community experience that the online world creates. All right, so why don't we go on to our 4th and final call?
Basically, I prefer print media, basically because it's what I grew up with. There were no blogs at that point in time, and I'm a more visual person, and I like the feel and touch of print media, especially books, as you might imagine. I have my books on, but it's not really the same. I like holding printed copies of them. But anyway, that's me. As far as blogs go, I don't particularly care for that terminology. I've tried to blog myself, and I don't know, it didn't really interest me. I suppose it's an easier way to get followers and put out information because the internet has a lot more people with access to it, and it's free and so on. As far as bridging the gap, I don't know if it's possible. I think it's one of those things like music to certain generations. You're always going to like the music that you grew up with. You're stuck with it, basically. You can't relate to music from generations that are too far from your own because you don't have the same concerns. I think it's similar to that. The fact that blogs are something that certain other generations grew up with, they're more comfortable with it, so they're always going to be. And people like myself, a little older, are always going to be more comfortable with the print. So I think there's room for both to continue to thrive, basically. I guess in terms of with print media, it's a matter of having enough ad revenue. So hopefully, smart, forward-thinking people will figure it out in the print media.
All right, so basically what he touched on is a lot of the things that we kind of already touched on. I think we can agree this guy's more of a print guy.
Yeah.
And I think his biggest reason, he brings up like the generation gap. You know what I mean? Again, that touches on nostalgia for print and more of like I want things to stay the same, kind of, and don't really want to have to deal with
new things.
Yeah, because Jess, the caller earlier, kind of made that point too. people who don't take too quickly to technology can feel like they're being left behind.
Yeah.
In all of this, I feel like a lot of people think it's very easy. You just hop on, find whatever you want, listen, read whatever you want to. But I mean, admittedly, for some people, they just don't get it. You know, I mean, do those people get left behind because of that?
Well, they're just left out of whatever's going on online.
I mean, do you think they miss out on? Do you think they miss out more on what's going on around them? You know what I mean? Because more things are more content is more paid attention to. That was a weird sentence. Online than it is in print.
You're so lucky you have an editor when you write.
Whatever. I can write. I can write without the awkward speech patterns. I don't need a train. My writing doesn't need translated. Is what I'm trying to get out. Wait. Yes. But yeah, I mean, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? I mean, is that person almost at a disadvantage at what's happening in the world or around them even?
I don't know. I mean, people have to eventually adapt. I mean, it's going to be eventually a point where the old person will have to eventually pick up, you know, a digital, like, start to use the computer, start to use something more, you know, in this time and where technology is advancing. I mean, it's going to become less and less common probably for old people not be able to understand how to use, you know, the internet or get on the blog, or I think so. I mean, progression, like, I mean, it's going to slowly phase out that maybe not, since the technology is going to be more prevalent, that younger people, as they grow older, will be more familiar with it. But yeah, I mean, I always remember when I was at the bookstore, there's always the books for computers for seniors, so there's always some kind of way to bridge that gap between technology-wise and try to make it seem easier, even though sometimes they're a lot more complex.
Yeah, plus, isn't there a news story about once every year or so where it's some senior citizen community of some sort has these really successful classes on new media or new technology, and it's just a bunch of everyone's grandmothers and grandfathers getting their iPod loaded up for the first time with all their favorite music and
we found
starting a Facebook account.
We found Ty in those classes.
I thought we found him on the street.
Uh-oh.
Outside of the class.
Oh, okay.
That's where he was headed.
Right. Living in a bottle.
That dementia kicked in.
Scotch in hand, of course. Yes.
Wondering if Hoover was still president.
And he brought up something that I kind of talked about earlier. He noted that he doesn't like the terminology of blog. That word, blog. This is we were talking about earlier about how the line really getting blurred between blogs and articles. What will blogs be called one day? I mean, will it always just be blogs, or will it actually be called something else? Will everything just be articles? Like getting into the terminology of it. I listen to Earwolf a lot, and Jeff Ulrich of the Wolf Den podcast. He always talks about how he doesn't like the word podcast because he feels like that trumps up negative feelings in people, just the terminology of podcast.
Because it sounds cheap, like it's someone's dinky recorder and their inexpensive microphone?
Yeah, because that's how it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it used to be, where anybody just did a podcast and you didn't have too many... It wasn't the boom it was today, where people are putting together professional podcasts, where people really used to just be in a parent's basement and just putting crap together and calling it a podcast. He kind of feels like maybe we need to escape that word podcast. I mean, do you feel the same way for something like a blog?
No, I feel that they all serve their specific functions, really. I mean, a podcast, whatever negative connotations come with it aside, is just, it's a broadcast meant for some other device. And it's through fairly easy to download, probably an expensive file of some sort. And you listen to it on any kind of mobile device, your laptop, your computer, or whatever. So it's just, it's one digital medium to another.
Yeah.
And same with blogs. And there'll always be blogs and posts to make.
Blogs and posts to make.
See, this is a blog. They have posts. You'll notice it's not an article because there's no fact-checking, there's no sourcing, and that this guy just didn't use a period.
But people are already calling blog posts articles, though. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, will eventually one day just be called articles? Just everything.
Everything's just going to be an article?
It's not for
Hey, that's what it sounds like to me now. Like, see, all kidding aside, like that's what I hear. I always hear a blog being referred to as, "Hey, did you read that article?"
Well, then, if that's the case, there will still be that point where articles will certainly have a noticeable quality over other articles.
I mean, you're going to get to rules. I mean, it's going to be probably addition eventually. The blogs, are going to have to be credible sources. I mean, I don't know. Like, you get to the point where I feel like you're going to be like, do you want to limit who can post blogs? Because right now I feel like anyone can post on anything, any topic. And it could be credible or not. It could be their opinion or not. It could be factual. It could be fake. You never know for sure. But even that, I mean, the terminology current stands. I think blogs and posts, going to be there for a while. I mean, until someone comes up with another form or medium or something more instantaneous that we might even get, internet piped straight into our brains, and we'll have to, it will be a blog, be a post, it'll be a thought. Or you like to think something about something else pop up in your brain and you'll, think about it there. I'm not thinking that far science fictionally ahead, but yeah, that could be a possibility eventually.
Well, IBM just said that was possible within like the next 50 years, I think. They release a list every year of what's the most accessible future tech, and instantaneous digital thought was one of theirs.
Yeah, I was listening to some prominent physicists talk about contact lenses. Like, you might have contact lenses that have the internet on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have, like, contact lenses.
It's like glasses, but
really?
in your eyes.
Finally! God.
In your eyes, because you've always wanted something sharp and plastic-like on the surface of your eye.
I have been waiting since the 80s for that. But yeah, like the way we look at our iPads, the internet, our computers, you might actually have on a contact lens that we can put in our eyes. Maybe if we want to open up a new tab, we just blink twice. I've heard scientists talk about how that's probably possible in like 50 years or something. I think the military uses some version of that in some way with contact lenses or something like that. But this isn't a science podcast. Okay.
Although you're speculating awfully hard.
Dude, if I could remember better, I would talk about it more. But
sometime in the future, there will be an update to Sam's firmware, and he will remember things.
I hope so. I'm coming to a contact lens near you. Okay, that was our last call. Alright, so, we're at the end of the show. So, I guess in summation, what do you guys think? I mean, is there a bridge to be made between digital and print? Can the two coexist forever?
I think if you're literate, there's a bridge. Because you can just go from one to the other and still pick it up pretty easily.
Well, you can, but the mediums themselves, can print and media coexist together?
One supports the other.
How so?
Maybe the model will shift in the traditional sense, and it won't just be that the digital model is supported by the funds and the profits of the actual print model, but maybe now the print edition will be purely supported and even just sort of the slimmed down version of whatever your weeks or months top stories were on your site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I slowly think, I think it's going to be a point where the digital medium is going to be the predominant, as the print is going to slowly start phasing out and be more valued. Somehow I feel like I'm referencing some kind of I remember even TV shows like Lost, where they don't have any of digital media and would have to rely on books that they had on the airplane, or even in a zombie apocalypse where there's no more digital media and all print books were valued based on the fact that you had no other way to recall the information. It's going to be balancing. I think eventually, maybe print media maybe be 10% use and everything else will be 90% digital. And there's a point where digital will fail. If it does fail eventually, or it does eventually fail, you would have to resort to print. And then where you'd be who has the print books? No one would have print books anymore. It would be more of a valued commodity, I imagine. That would ever happen. But I'm thinking of it in terms of a zombie apocalypse.
So you're predicting a print book bubble provided in an apocalyptic event?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Can we bring back cave paintings?
Would have to have caves.
Yes.
Would have to use them regularly for this to work.
Do we not usually use caves regularly anymore?
No, not really.
Oh, damn.
Unless we're hiding things that we don't want the EPA to find.
Well, I don't know what you're up to, but well, I mean, my view on it is I'm allowing myself to be biased because I have a huge bias towards print. And in all seriousness, I think digital already is the go-to media. I think it already is above print. You know, more people nowadays go to digital over print. I think kind of the bridge between the two is basically nostalgia. Being nostalgic about print. I think it's going to be a good long while before print goes anywhere, just because I don't think too many people can view a world. I think a lot of people can view a digital world, but I don't think the majority of everyone can envision a world yet of solely digital. I think we're still at a point in time where you still need that print, where people still want that print, even though that number of people is going down. I don't think print's going anywhere for a little while. Like newspapers, for example. For some reason in my mind, I keep picturing the newspaper industry going like this. An online news site, like a lot of news places already have, with a free weekly news magazine.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like as long as print can stay virtually free, which on one hand is sad because it's a lot of people losing their jobs. And if I could recommend a documentary about a newspaper closing, I forgot what it's called, but the documentary on the closing of the Rocky Morning News a few years ago. It's the country's oldest newspaper.
Right. It's
heartbreaking. I mean, it really is sad to see these print journalists lose their jobs like this because no one's reading anymore. But at the same time, I feel like as long as you can keep print virtually free,
cost effective,
exactly, that there is a place for both of them. It's just that greater attention will, and I believe already gets put towards that digital, you know, and how you make money off of that is debatable, whether it's donations, whether it's ad revenue, or some other secret to online success that someone hasn't thought of yet. But for me, at least, that's the world I envision of print and digital. All right, and any final thoughts?
I think you need to cool it on the article thing.
Shut up. Whatever. I'm right. You're wrong.
That's the spirit. Nothing ever came.
I'm right. You're wrong. Next episode will be bridging the gap between Sam and Mike.
Oh. Big gap.
Alright, but in all seriousness, for our next episode, I believe we will be tackling the rivalry between PC and Mac, right?
Yes. Finally.
I know, finally.
You gotta get this battle out in the open.
Exactly. Most people know about this rivalry, right?
Of course. It's questionable.
I was kidding, Ty. Ty looked at me like, of course, you dumbass.
Ty being very literal.
Alright, and so for our next episode 3 will be PC versus Mac. Please call in and give us your opinions on what do you prefer, PCs, do you prefer Mac, are you a Mac guy, are you a PC person? And can the two get along somehow? Can PC and Mac somehow get over themselves and work together in some form of way? Use your imagination. And the number to call us is 267-217-2037. That's 267-217-2037.
We're working on a catchy jingle, but it's just not coming along.
I have Ty working on it. And you can find us online at forbiddentunaproductions.com. All right, guys.
Peace out, boys.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. Have a good one.
This has been a presentation of Forbidden Tuna Productions.